Hi, welcome to Books and Bocadillos. My name is Maria Andrea, and this is my summer book haul. I'm going to start out with the summer book haul, the books that I purchased between May and September. And then I'm going to end with my September specific book haul for my travels this month. So I went to Houston, and I went to the Brussels bookstore, Brussels Independent Bookstore in Houston. I love that little bookstore. It's a really, really cool bookstore. And then I also went to Powell's in Portland last week. And so I bought some books there. And so I'm going to leave those for, haven't decided if I'm going to put them at the end of this video or in a separate September specific book haul video. We'll just figure it out as we go. So to begin with the books that I purchased between May, which is my birthday month, and let's just say August, we'll get started. I'm going to kind of divide them by fiction, nonfiction, and good books, and food writing. So let's get started. First one, Flash Forward. This is an illustrated guide to possible and not so possible tomorrows edited by Rose Eveleth. So Rose Eveleth is a podcast host for the podcast Flash Forward, and this is an anthology collection of comics that tell different possible futures. Looks like it's kind of like some dystopian futures, some plausible futures, some impossible futures. But they all play with the trope of the future in science fiction and technology. So I love that so there's a bunch of different contributors to these collections. And every, of course, graphic designer, comic designer has a different style. So this is what I find fun about this collection, is that you get to experience different stories and different artwork. I'm just kind of going at random just to show you different palettes. This is really cool. I really like the primary colors here. So it's really fun, and I love comics, like graphic novels. It's really, really cool to see like the visual art of it all. Anyway, Flash Forward. I haven't started reading it, but definitely looking forward to navigating the different possible or impossible futures. Okay, this is a gift. So my friend Katie purchased this book for me and gifted it to me as a birthday present. It's titled How to Write a Poem by Newbery medalist Kwame Alexander and Deanna Nikaido, art by Caldecott Honoree and Melissa Sweet. It's a gorgeous book. End pages look like this. It's got a naked hardback copy that matches the jacket. It's really cool. And the artwork is really beautiful. It's very inspiring, and I think this is kind of picture book that is fun for kids and adults. I love it. Okay, I bought a whole bunch of poetry collections during my birthday month, because I think I had had a gift card, and I thought I just want to add more collections to my poetry shelf. So I did some splurging on poetry. So this is Whereas, poems by Lady Long Soldier, and this is a National Book Award finalist, Indigenous poetry. I got Sandra Cisneros, Woman Without Shame, collection of poems, and I really love this cover. All of these books are books that I'm looking forward to sharing with you in Thursday night poetry videos in the future. This is Restrict, a Poetic Narrative by Sol Rivera. This is a young adult coming of age story, a young woman grappling with food and eating disorder. So if eating disorders are a trigger or something that you avoid, beware of this one. A catalog of unabashed gratitude by Ross Gay. I am gonna say I love every one of these poets because I do love these are some of my favorite poets. You Are Here, Poetry in the Natural World, edited and introduced by 24th Poet Laureate of the United States, Ada Limon. So Ada Limon is the editor. There are a whole bunch of contributors, like all of these names here in the back. I think, how many? A bunch. I'm like, how many contributors? I don't know. But a lot of them. And it's all about nature poetry. This is one that I had pre-ordered and it was published this summer, Latino Poetry. The Library of America anthology editor is Rigoberto Gonzalez. I'm so excited to peruse this a little bit deeper. I kind of glanced at it, but I want to read more in depth. And this is a collection of poetry that came to my radar through Pat at Book Chat with Pat. Earlier this year, she was doing a series of shorts by poems by Naomi Shihab Nye, and she put Naomi Shihab Nye on my radar. I had never heard of Naomi Shihab Nye. I'm really struggling with my words today. So I looked up the collection of this poet and saw this one, Douaihy, Poems for Our Time. And this is really, really cool. Okay, I'm going to share a little bit about this one because, okay, it's got tickled edges to love. But this front part here says, how much have you thrown away in your lifetime already? Do you ever think about it? So this is a poetry collection about trash. It says, in this collection of 84 poems, beloved poet Naomi Shihab Nye delves into mountains of trash, along the highways, on the beaches, and the playground, floating through the air and sea to illuminate essential truths and inspire. Rubbish, refuse, waste, litter, garbage, dregs, scum, debris, junk, dross, detritus. There are a lot of words for what we cast away. Trash tells a story, especially if you listen. Trash sends a warning, a plea for help, a call to action. Deeply moving, often humorous, richly inventive, and always provocative, Castaway includes poems about food, wrappers, lost mittens, plastic straws, refugee children, trashy talk, homework, community, the planet, immigration, time, junk, mail, all that we carry and all that we cast away. It's a beautiful book, and I'm so excited to get myself into this collection soon. And the last is this one, Joy Harjo, Weaving Sundown in a Scarlet Light, 50 Poems for 50 Years. And the foreword is by Sandra Cisneros, so it was like two of my favorite poets in one book. Okay, so those are the poetry. Now, fiction. I got this one for my birthday, bought it for myself, couldn't help it. Love this cover. This Thing Between Us, a novel by Gus Moreno. This is a dark horror. The thing that got my attention on this one is this little part here. A startling, darkly funny horror novel about grief and rage. That's all. Like, startling, darkly funny, horror, grief, rage. I'm sold. It also says the loneliness of living between cultures. Yeah. Other words that stand out. It's funny, scary, heartbreaking, creepy, atmospheric, darkly funny, grief, horror, supernatural, gory, madness, grief, impossible to put down. Stephen Graham Jones says, hold on, this isn't a ride, it's a slide, and it doesn't care whether you're ready or not. So this is an awesome, like, little horror. It's short, and it's a short little book. It's a small book, too, like, the size of my hand. I can't wait to delve into that one. This one was one that the bookseller at Barnes & Noble sold to me. I was at the register and he's like checking, ringing me up, and he was like, have you heard of this? This was their Barnes & Noble book club pick. And don't know anything about it, but all I know is that it takes place over 8 hours of this woman's life. And it looks like she's going through like a midlife crisis. And midlife crisis and a short period of time. Like, I love a book that's told in a day, a story that's told in a day about the day in the life. This is 8 hours in the life of this woman. So I was really curious about this one. If any of these books are books that you've read or that you have like thoughts about, please feel free to drop your comments down there. This is also one I purchased at Barnes & Noble, 12th Night by Alexine Farol-Falmouth. I purchased this one during August. I wanted to read it because I knew that I was going to be reading 12th Night for September and wanted to accompany it with the YA book. I love YA. I just need to say that. I love a YA story. This is a rom-com. Didn't get to it in August. Haven't gotten to it this month, but still one that I would like to get to. This one, inspired by Ellen at Ellen Made Book Club. Ellen talked about this book, Crooked Plow, a novel by Itamar Vieira Jr. Ellen really wanted to read this for her book club, but it didn't get picked. And when she talked about it, I thought I really would like to read that. So I ordered it, not knowing that it wasn't going to get picked. And I'm still really interested in reading this. This sounds like really, really good. The publisher summary says, the most important Brazilian novel of the century so far, this bestseller's unique blend of magical and social realism has won 3 literary awards and global acclaim. If you need to know more, it goes on to say, deep in the neglected hinterland of Bahia, Brazil, 2 sisters find a mysterious knife beneath their grandmother's bed. Momentarily mystified by its power, they decide to taste its metal. The shuddering violence that follows marks their lives and binds them together forever. I am so intrigued. Heralded as a masterpiece, this fascinating and gripping story about the lives of subsistence farmers in Brazil's poorest region, 3 generations after the abolition of slavery, is at once fantastic and realist, encompassing themes of family, spirituality, and political struggle. I do love a political historical fiction. I think this is what it is. It's a little bit of like magical realism and historical like fiction, like a political historical fiction, gripping, maybe a little bit of horror. I'm really interested. Thank you, Ellen, for this book recommendation. Okay, this is one that I got because it was up again. It was also a book that was a contender for my local indies book club. It didn't win, but alas, I really wanted to read it. It's a rom-com. I had hoped to read it this summer, didn't get to it. The Lost Ticket by Freya Sampson. Set in London. Rom-com. I don't need to say more. Oh my gosh, this one I don't want to even read anything about it. I saw the cover and was sold. Scorched Grace, a Sister Holiday mystery, which I don't know the series. Margo Douaihy is the author. This looks like it's a debut. It's the author's debut. There's a nun, a smoking nun on the cover. Like, that's it. Like, I love nuns. I love a story about nuns. I love nuns in fiction and nonfiction. I love a nun story. So I don't even want to read the book because I want to go into it blindly, like without any expectations, because I'm really looking forward to it. This one was recommended to me by one of the book club members in Melinda from a Web Stories book club, Marginals and Margaritas, where they read books by marginalized authors. And one of the book club meetings that I went to online, someone recommended this to me, and I was so excited for the recommendation. The Kamogawa Food Detective by Kisashi Kashiwai. It looks like super cozy and foodie, and I love it. This is a great recommendation. I haven't read it, but I know this is going to be a great recommendation for me. Again, another cozy mystery because I love a cozy. Shady Hollow, a murder mystery by Juneau Black. Speaking of nuns, Sor Juana Ines de la Cruz. This is Alberto Rios Blurb did A Lesson in Speaking to the Moment and the Centuries Both, translated by Judith Grossman, introduction by Julia Alvarez. And so this is translations of the contemplations, rhymes, and drama of La Décima Musa, ageless, Sor Juana Ines de la Cruz. She was a feminist, a poet, an essayist, a political activist. She was a revolutionary for her time, for feminism. And she's known as the 10th Muse, the Phoenix of Mexico. And I cannot wait to read this. Speaking of Mexico, I loved Pedro Páramo. When I read it last year, I kept talking about it. I purchased the new translation last year when it came out. I pre-ordered it because I loved the story so much. I read the Pedro Páramo story in Spanish. I got the English translation when it came out last year, and I'm due to reread it. I've been wanting to read the new translation. I cannot talk. And I saw this and I had to have it. So this is Llano and Llamas. This is a collection of short stories by Juan Rulfo. My mom used to have a copy, but I think it got all beat up because I think I would try to read it and get into it, and I think it just kind of weathered the years. So I wanted to have one in my collection, so I purchased this one. Love the glass. Oh my gosh. So when I read a book that I love, I have to, and I read it, I listen to the audiobook or I read it in my Kindle, I usually want to have it on my shelves. And this is what happened, and especially because of the introduction. So this is Death Comes to the Archbishop by Willa Cather. I read this with Melinda at a Web of Stories as a buddy read earlier this year. Loved it. 5 stars. Over the summer, I found this edition at Barnes & Noble. And the introduction is by Gali Fajardo Anstine. I loved Gali Fajardo Anstine's writing in Sabrina and Corina when I read that earlier this summer. And so I was really wanting to have this collection where Gali Fajardo Anstine introduces this story. And I want to read a little bit of her intro. My American story in the history of my ancestors is one of convergence. It does not begin in 1776. Our stories start elsewhere in the center of our world. Death Comes where the Archbishop speaks to the idea of nation building. How are a people formed? Who gives us our common stories, and how do those tales permeate into the collective? Perhaps it is through a missionary priest or a public school system, media, literature, art, but there is a guiding mythology that is curated to fit the needs of the nation. As a Chicana of mixed European and indigenous ancestry, defining my cultural heritage and the historical framework that created a person like me often proves difficult. Death Comes for the Archbishop made an aspect of my own history tangible through story. I have been confounded for much of my life by the American desire to place identity neatly into one box. I have been asked to narrow my cultural heritage to make things easier, streamlined, avoidant. One of the most surprising aspects of Death Comes for the Archbishop is the way that Cather seems to predict the emergence of future generations born out of convergence. That shared glance, the acknowledgement of something destined to be. It's as if the furthest reaches of the Cather imagination are somehow nearly 100 years later meeting with my own. I love that. That's such a beautiful way of summarizing Death Comes for the Archbishop. I felt exactly the same way or very similarly. So I'm so glad to have this beautiful book on my shelves. Okay. So earlier this summer, my husband went to Corpus Christi for work. And I haven't been to Corpus Christi in a long time, years ago. When I go to Corpus Christi, I like to go to the half-price books. So I told my husband, please go for me and see what you find. And so he brought me back a souvenir. And it's this one. The Horror in the Museum by H.P. Lovecraft. I'm hosting a silent reading party this month of October. And so he said, he thought this might be a good book for me to read at the silent reading party, so we shall see. Oh, I got this one for August. Didn't get to read it, and I thought if I don't get to read it for August, it'll be for Banned Books Week. Didn't happen. Judy Blume's Forever. This is a banned book. It's a short, so I thought it would be good for Shorty September. I haven't gone to it yet. Maybe I'll get to it before the month ends. In a couple of days, we'll see. This is a story about a young girl thinking about having sex for the first time. You guys, that's like so common and relevant. Why would it be banned? Like, I think that it's good to have these kinds of stories available to readers, to other young kids thinking about having sex for the first time. Like, I don't understand, but I think I'm gonna love this book. I think that this is a book that does not deserve to be banned, but most books that are banned don't deserve to be banned. So that's where we're at. The Three-Body Problem by Cixin Liu. I really wanted this because I started watching the Netflix series and thought I really wanted to read the story. Mary by Nat Cassidy. I purchased this book in July in preparation for a girls' trip. The cover is Mary in a bathtub. And I was thinking I might get to sit by the pool and do some reading. Didn't happen. It was raining. There was no pool. There was no downtime. I didn't get to it. Some Rainbow Rowell, Slow Dance. Okay, my husband interrupted because he built something for me, and I can't wait to show it. But he left with it, and so I'll show it later. But Rainbow Rowell, Slow Dance. I am under the impression that this is like a persuasion retelling, Persuasion by Jane Austen. I love Persuasion, so I had to get this because when I picked this up and I read that it's like Persuasion retelling, I thought, I love Persuasion. I would like to read it, and I think because Persuasion so far has been my favorite Jane Austen, I wouldn't mind having different retellings of it on my shelf. So, like, as an homage to Jane Austen. So, I think this might be Rainbow Rowell's first adult fiction. Could be wrong, but I'm thinking maybe. Those names from here have Sandwich by Catherine Newman. I am probably going to finish this tonight. I'm like almost done. This book is recommended to me specifically by Melinda at A Web of Stories. Melinda, I think this is a great recommendation. Thank you. I'm almost done. I can say I've been really enjoying reading this book, so it's a good recommendation for me. This is another book I've been reading. I'll talk more about this tomorrow, but I think I've talked about this before. I'll talk more about it tomorrow, but I did purchase this summer. So both of these books were purchased this summer. That is all for my fiction books. I will record the rest and we'll talk again soon. Hasta la próxima.